So then, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You might notice the face is looking a little bit leaner. You probably won't, but that's because we've dropped nearly a stone in just over 5 weeks now. So yeah, things are definitely moving in the right direction. Sorry, no, not a stone. We've dropped about 12 pounds in that time. So things are definitely starting to look a lot different visually. I'm gonna figure out how the fuck I can put it over the front of this video, because I know there's a way to do it, so I'll figure it out while I'm doing the editing stuff later on. But today I'm going to be taking you through how to diet on higher food and how I am able to do that, because you might be surprised to know, I mean, obviously you can tell by watching my videos and my Instagram, I'm not the biggest person in the world. However, fuck me, is this going to stay stable? Right, okay, the camera's not, but the actual little thing, the little gimbals, it looks like it's straight up because it rotates. So I'm on currently 2,850 calories on a training day and 2,450 calories on a rest day. And you might be thinking, how the fuck have you dropped nearly a stone on that food? I am going to tell you in this video. I'm going to give you the first tip right now, okay? Or the first reason. There'll be a couple of different reasons throughout the entire video. You're going to see a training session in a second as well, and then I'll go through the rest of it afterwards. The first one is I spend fucking ages in a surplus eating higher food. Really, really important, right? That if we want to get ourselves to a point where we can diet on higher food, that we spend a decent amount of time in a surplus building muscle. Because when we do that, our body starts to adapt to the extra calories that we have. We also become a little bit bigger. We have a bit more muscle. And again, like, our food intake will need to kind of creep up over the surplus that we're in. Even keeping yourself at maintenance for a while, to be fair, like, your body will more than likely end up needing a little bit more and more as time goes on. It'll be a lot slower though. But spending that amount of time eating a decent amount of food so that by the time you cut, you don't have to bring your calories down from, you know, stupid amounts. Like, I remember when I started with Ali, and I think he had me bulking on 2750 on a training day. 2750 on a rest day, and I think it was 2950 on a training day. And we're pretty much cutting on that now and dropping about 2 and a bit pounds a week. And that kind of creeped up over the course of 2 years. We had a couple of mini cuts in there where we kind of brought that back down, and then food increased again. So, like, you don't have to bulk for ages and ages and ages with no breaks. You can throw a couple of mini cuts in there, but again, like, over time, I've just been able to diet on this higher amount of food, and it's so much easier. Like, I'll be honest with you, I've been doing this for over a month now, and it's so fucking easy. Like, social occasions are obviously a lot less, but I'm focusing more on the business anyway at the minute, so that's not really a huge deal for me right now. Nobody's really doing much anyway because it's only the beginning of Feb, so, like, it's just been so fucking easy. I'm not really very hungry most of the time, as long as I'm sticking to, you know, mainly whole foods, things like just lean meats, potatoes, rice sometimes, and then we've got like sweet potatoes in there, a lot of veg, a lot of fruit, oats, things like that, like just foods that are filling. Season them well so they taste nice, and you'll probably not end up even getting hungry. So that's the first tip, and then I'll take you on to tip number 2 after the... Right then, so before I get into tip number 2, I'm currently just in the middle of doing my psychology course through Andy. Basically just told me that I'm not good enough. Also, the creatine is being used to stand this up, if you're wondering why that's right next to the computer. So yeah, just finished up meal number 1, which I probably should have shown you, to be fair, but that was... We had some sourdough, 3 bits of bacon, 2 eggs, and then I would normally have mushrooms on, but I ended up having a little orange thing instead, because we ran out of mushrooms, and I needed something that was pretty much the equivalent calories. So, and I just fancied a bit of a change up as well. So I had that this morning, or like 5 minutes ago, and then like I said, I'm just going to finish off this last task on the psychology course, and then I've got some content planning / adjusting for the group that I've just launched. So we have just launched, as of 2 days ago, Ignite, which is an 8-week group coaching fat loss program. So the aim around that is to help people who basically have been struggling with their fat loss goals for quite a while, maybe just feel like they need a bit more direction with it. I tend to find a lot of people that I work with and a lot of people that are on my page and my social media, generally in a cycle of like starting and stopping and starting and stopping, and always just nearly getting to where they need to be, but never really fully pushing themselves past that point of getting to where they need to be and or maintaining it as well. So the entire point around what I'm doing with Ignite is it's lower cost. It's only an 8-week program, as I said, for £99, and along the way people will get actually educated on how to genuinely keep the results. So they'll still be getting check-ins with me. They'll still be getting check-ins with me. They'll still be getting weekly calls with me. They're going to be getting programs that actually fit around their lifestyle, personalized nutrition advice, all that sort of stuff, to basically just make sure that they're actually getting educated along the way, and that they're pushing themselves past that point of where they need to, or what they need to do to get the result, but also maintain and improving it in the long term. So that's the main thing and the main kind of aim around that. But like I said, we've got that coming up in just a little bit, but I'm going to finish off this last little bit of my psychology course. Like, the reason why I'm doing the psychology course as well is because I've got so many clients that, again, struggle with just pushing themselves past that point of what they need to do and where they need to be to get to where they want to be. So doing the psychology course just allows me to understand the psychology of the client a lot more, and understand why people self-sabotage, and understand why people don't get to where they need to be, instead of just saying, you don't get to where you need to be, well, and then just fucking giving people the same blanket advice as everybody else gets. That doesn't really help anybody. So yeah, the main reason why I'm doing that, like I said, is to be able to help my clients a lot more. But yeah, we'll go to tip number 2. So tip number 2 for being able to eat more food on your diet is activity. Like, it's such an obvious one, but activity is a really, really big one. We need to get ourselves to a point where we're doing, I would say, for pretty much everybody, like, let's be honest, 10,000 steps is generally doable for most of you out there, unless you're like a super, super, super busy, which realistically, if you've got like multiple kids that you chase around after on an evening, you're probably not watching this. So, I mean, again, some of you probably do have kids, but if you're like, you know, late 40s to 50s, and you're in a really high position in whatever company it is that you're in, and you've got like 3 or 4 kids, and you only have time to get 5,000 steps, like, you're probably not watching this video right now. So this but even still, getting that activity nice and high is a really important thing to do. So for most people, starting at around 10,000 steps is going to be a great place to go. If you can do more than that, do more. I'm currently aiming for 10, but generally on a day-to-day basis, I'm getting anywhere between 10 to 15. Normally it's over 12. Again, I do sit behind a desk a lot more than people probably think that I do, but I also have the luxury of being able to get up and walk. So like, the way that we can keep ourselves active even when we struggle to get the walks and things in is, when you're at work, just get yourself up, do a couple of steps, even if it's just, 500 to 1,000 for like 5 or 10 minutes. Go and walk around the building a little bit. On your lunch break, like, have your food, go out and walk for 10 or 15 minutes, get some, I would say, sunlight, but there's not really any in the UK right now. But get yourself outside as well, because we can use it as a de-stressor and time to kind of get away from the desk and think about things and do what we need to do to relax and recuperate and kind of gather our thoughts for the day, because that's something that not a lot of people do as well. So we need to make sure that we're giving ourselves time outside as opposed to being in front of screens all day. And you might not think that 10 or 15 minute walk is going to do much, but it all adds up. You'll get yourself to the point where you finish work towards the end of the day, and instead of doing 2,000 steps, you've done 5,000, and then you haven't got to be outside on your evening walk or on the treadmill for an extra fucking 25 minutes. So giving yourself that little bit of break in between will also, one, help you de-stress, and two, help you get your activity up over the course of the day. Because if your activity is really low and you're not dropping weight, well then if you don't want to drop your food, you're going to have to increase activity. Like something's going to have to change there if your body weight isn't changing. So that is tip number 2, is be as active as possible. On weekends, go and get yourself out. Go for long walks with your partner or your friends or whatever it might be. Go to the park. Like if you're going to like a shopping centre, maybe just do a couple of laps around the shopping centre, or maybe take the longer way to get to a different shop or whatever it might be. Get your steps in anywhere that you can and keep that activity nice and high, and the weight will come off a lot easier than if your activity is low. Right, hello, I think it's recording. Yeah, it is. I'm going to quickly put that face detection on, so there you go. Right, so just outside of the gym, at work, I'm going to take you through the third and final tip, and then we're going to finish the video up there, so you just don't have to listen to us talk anymore. Number 3, technically, is not eating more calories, but it is actually eating more food. And it's making sure that you volumize your meals and eat foods that are going to fill you up and take a little bit longer to digest, right? So how can we do this, and how can we feel fuller from eating the same calories? I mentioned it a little bit earlier on in the video, but I'll go into a little bit more detail now. Making sure that most of your foods are whole foods, right? The reason why most people get really hungry in a fat loss phase is because they're so hell-bent on making sure that every single meal tastes just like the real thing, or is a fake away, or you have to have Biscoff in your oats in the morning, and then you have to have your chocolate bar snack in the evening, and then you have to have like loads of little picky bits and a bag of crisps because it fits into your calories and all that sort of stuff. Now look, cool, you're still going to lose the same amount of weight if you do that, right? You are. I'm not going to sit here and deny that. And can you sometimes put these ultra processed foods into your diet? Yeah, of course you can. Like you can fit it all in, but as you get towards the tail end of a diet, or unfortunately if you're a smaller female, more than likely, which a lot of my clients are, and you're already on lower food, right? I do apologise for that, by the way. Unfortunately, I don't decide the way that it works, but if you're a small female, it sucks to be small. Your calorie requirements are just going to be a little bit lower, so there's not really too much we can do about that. Well, there's not anything we can do about that really, but the main thing that you can do to bulk your meals out is make sure that we're hitting plenty of protein, so 1 gram per pound of body weight, okay, as a minimum. Reason that is really important is because protein takes a lot for your body to digest, so it digests a lot slower. On top of that as well, when we have carb sources, we also should realistically be making sure that most of them are coming from potatoes, from things like sweet potatoes as well, are a really good option. Fruits and vegetables are all really, really good sources, mainly because, again, they're all full of fiber and they're going to take a lot longer for us to digest, and they will make us feel fuller, okay? Like 500 grams of vegetables compared to, let's say, like 500 calories of vegetables compared to 500 grams of donuts, right? You're going to get a fucking pile of vegetables about this fucking big. A donut's going to be about that big, right? Which one's going to fill you up more? This one or this one? Which one's going to have a lot more nutrients in, so as in more micronutrients? It's going to be the vegetables, okay? So we need to make sure that when we're in a deficit as well, and we already have less calories than our body needs, we're also hitting our micronutrient intake as best as we possibly can. And like I said, make sure that you're hitting that fiber. Generally for women, it's around 20 to 25 grams. Generally for blokes, it's anywhere between 25 to 35 grams is what's recommended. So make sure your fiber stays high, make sure your protein stays high. And in terms of your macros as well, try and hit roughly, I would say, 0.8 to 1 gram per kilo of body weight for fats, to make sure that our hormones are functioning properly. For females as well, making sure that your menstrual cycle is regulating properly as well, and fill the rest of it out with carbs, okay? That's going to be your best friend. Try and time most of your carbs around your training days or your busiest times of the day, because that's when you're going to need the energy the most. And I like to personally save a slightly bigger meal. So for an example, like chicken and potatoes with some veg, or maybe a big bowl of oats, I like to save those meals for before bedtime, just so that I don't wake up in the middle of the night fucking starving, right? Obviously, as we get towards the end of the cut, that's going to be unavoidable. But I eat pretty much only high fiber, high protein foods. Obviously, I still have a really good amount of carbs. But as I said, like, most of my foods are high protein, high fiber, and I don't really feel hungry that often on this diet. I mean, it's been nearly 6 weeks now, and Very rarely have I struggled with hunger. I'm sure that will happen over the next few weeks, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up here, and I will see you in